Hi, it's Samantha with Clawfoot Farm, and today we're talking onions. When I first started gardening, a lot of things were pretty self-explanatory, as in you get some really good dirt, you get a seed, you plant the seed, and it grows. But onions, for me, onions were this mystery, and I just was not very successful with growing onions at the beginning. So I wanted to share what I know and have learned about growing onions with you. So onions are from the allium family. So they are in the same family as leeks and as garlic and shallots. They're all the same family. But onions are very sensitive to daylight hours. There are 3 types of onions that you can buy. There are short day onions, long day onions, and intermediate day onions. Short day onions are typically grown either over winter here in the Pacific Northwest, as in planted in the fall, August or September, and overwintered. And harvested in the spring, or they are also grown in the south. So short day onions grow their leafy tops when the days are getting shorter, and they grow the onion bulb when the days are getting longer. So if you plant a short day type in August or September, for example, your days are getting shorter and they will grow their leafy tops. Then they will overwinter. Hopefully it doesn't get too cold. So if it doesn't get too cold, they will overwinter, and then when the days are getting longer, they will break their dormancy and they will grow the bulbs, and you can harvest them in early spring. Long day onions grow their leafy tops when the days are growing longer. And then at the summer solstice, when the days grow shorter, they start growing the onion bulbs, and then you can harvest them in the late summer and early fall. Intermediate type onions, we don't grow those up here in the Pacific Northwest, and so I don't know very much about them. So I'm not going to go into those because I don't even know. There are 3 different ways that you can grow onions. So you can grow onions by seed, with seeds. You can grow onions with transplants, which usually come in bundles like this, and they look like little transplants. And you can grow them by sets. Sets are these little bulbs of onions, little baby onions. There are pluses and challenges to each way of growing onions. So let's start with seeds. So seeds have the most diversity. You can get exactly the type of onion that you are probably looking for. Many different types of onions you can get from different seed companies all over. These 2 are from Baker Creek, and they're the seeds that I have planted this year. We have Nord Hollandaise. I cannot ever say any of these words. So Nord Hollandaise Bloderode, which is a red one, and Onion Wethersfield. So Wethersfield red onion. So those are what I have planted this year by seed. For me personally, seeding onions are the most difficult for some, I don't know, for some reason. I have heard that people do it really easily. To me, it's been tricky. This year, I'm going to try planting seeds for the summer harvest. And then I'm also going to try to plant some seeds for the winter and try to overwinter them and see if that's kind of where I'm having a struggle or not. But these I have planted, and I have some plants here. The trick with growing onions from seed is that you need to plant them very early, inside, under lights, or in the sunniest windowsill that you have. These I have planted in January, and it is like March. It's almost mid-March now, and I planted these mid-January. So January, February, March. So these have been planted for 2 whole months as of now. They have grown about 10 inches tall. I'm going to take a pair of scissors and snip them back to about 4 inches, and I'm going to let them grow a little bit more, spend a little bit more time indoors under lights until we are past our frost, and then I'm going to plant them out. The reason why I snip them is that they will create a stockier plant if you cut them back just a little bit. You don't want to cut them back too far because they still need to have their green tops to grow and photosynthesize, but I'm going to cut them back to about 4 inches and keep them at about 4 inches of height until I plant them out into the garden. So that's what I do with my seeds. Now, a set is basically a baby onion plant that was planted probably last fall or late summer and allowed to grow to this size before being pulled out and put in cold storage and basically put into a dormant stage. And then you plant them, and then they will grow from here. It kind of gives you a little bit of a head start over seeds. However, there is a challenge with sets. Number one is the variety. You typically aren't able to find the type of variety of onions that they are. Most times when you find sets, you will find a set that says yellow onion, white onion, red onion, and you don't know what type of yellow or red or white they are. So they are pretty generic. They also have a tendency to bolt because these onions were planted last summer and fall. Sometimes decide that it is their second year, and onions are biennials, and they will make seed on their second year. So they sometimes think that they've already been alive for an entire year and it's time to make seed. And so they will flower and go directly to seed from this size of bulb. So what you'll get is no onion, but just some pretty flowers and then some onion seed of some type that you don't know what it's called. So we do not really use sets very often on this homestead. So onion transplants. These are the most expensive way to go. Paid about $40 for these 250 transplants, where in these there are 300, there's 300 seeds in each of these. So one of these packs that cost me a little under $3 could give me as many onions as the transplants. So the transplants are the most expensive way to go. It's also the most surefire way to actually get a good onion harvest in the Pacific Northwest for a gardener who is backyard gardening like me. So we have onion transplants. They come in bundles. Usually bundles are about 50 to 70 plants in each bundle, and that's just what they are. They are little, usually greenhouse raised little plants. And here's one here. This is a red onion, and they're just little plants, and they are ready to go directly into the ground. And I want to put them into the ground fairly soon, Whereas seeds, you can hold on to them for a year. Sets, you can hold on to them for probably up to about 2 months, as long as they don't get moldy. Onion transplants, they need to go into the soil. So these I'm going to start putting into the ground today and finish up by the end of this week. We will have 250 onion plants into the ground around here. So when you're planting your onion transplants, you're gonna want to plant them in a bed. Raised beds are the best because it will have as much drainage as possible. But any soil that is loose. So you really want some good garden soil, some loose, fluffy soil. And you want to plant these plants no deeper than 1 inch deep. So it looks like you could plant them up to here, but that will actually, it will stunt the growth, or it could actually kill the plant. So you really only want to plant them 1 inch deep in the ground. And then you also want to make sure that they're watered in very well. And it's a good idea to feed them. If you're using fertilizer, if you're planting in compost, you don't have to feed them. I don't feed them. Our soil is very nutrient rich and full of lots of compost. So I don't feed them, but all of the guides that I have read have said to go ahead and feed them with the fertilizer as soon as you plant them. And then you're just going to let them grow. I keep my onions on my regular garden watering schedule. So when I water my garden, then I'm watering my onions too. And they just stay in that just regular garden watering rotation all the way through until they are ready to harvest. The onions are ready to harvest when these little plants have about 10 to, I think I've seen as much as 16 leaves or blades coming out. Each leaf or blade, each blade of onion plant or leaf on here is actually a wrapper that goes around the bulb of the plant. Late summer, early fall, your onion tips will start to turn brown, just like garlic does, and they will start to flop over. Once they flop over, then you want to stop watering. You want to stop watering them, hope that it doesn't rain, and let them sit in the ground for about a week and kind of dry out in the ground for about a week until you pull them. And then you're going to pull them out and harvest them, and then you'll have big, beautiful onions. This year, for transplants, the onions that we are growing are Alyssa Craig onions. These are my favorite onion. They grow to 1.5 to 2.5 pounds. Of course, the seed catalogs show that you can grow them up to a 5-pound onion. I've never had one that big, but 1 to 1.5 to 2.5 pound onions are very common. They are super sweet, yummy, and they make the best fried onion rings ever. Another one we're growing is another sweet onion. It's Walla Wallas. So we're growing Walla Wallas. We're in Washington State. You probably should grow Walla Walla sweet onions. So we're growing our Walla Wallas. I'm also growing a white onion, and this one is called Ringmaster. It is a smaller kind of Spanish style white onion. I've never grown that before. It's a new one, so I'm excited to see what this one does. And a red onion, which is called Red Wing, which I have heard is very popular around here in the Pacific Northwest. But again, I haven't grown this one, so we have 2 new types of onions to grow and 2 old favorites. Oh my gosh. I think this is the biggest one. Oh, maybe even not. Here's my hand. Giant onion. This is probably a 5-pound onion. Oh my gosh.
There's another one.
Alrighty, well, thanks for talking to me about onions today and coming by. Hopefully this was helpful to you and kind of demystify some things about onions, and try planting some onions in your garden today. Thanks, and I will see you later. Bye.